Welcome back to the Caregiver Minute, where every weekday family and professional caregivers gather to refine their skills, gain inspiration, and prepare to serve. This is episode 3 in our series about reducing challenging behavior. So far, we've talked about the need to look for acute medical problems that might be driving the behavior. Once we've ruled those out, then we need to look at foundational principles. We need to ask ourselves, what is this person eating? Is it anti-inflammatory? Or is it inflammatory? Is it a fuel they can use? Or is it something that they can't use, like excess carbohydrates? Are they dealing with an undiagnosed dental health problem and they're leaching toxic bacteria into their bloodstream and that's getting to the brain and causing a neuroinflammatory response? Are they sleeping well, or are we disrupting their sleep on a regular basis? So when we consider these foundational kinds of things, there's a lot that we can do to intervene. The next phase of intervention considers things like circulation. If you're not getting enough blood flow up to the brain will not function as effectively as it could. That's one of the reasons that exercise makes such a difference for people with cognitive challenges. Usually they function a bit better if they're exercising regularly. And part of that is because it's getting more oxygen-rich blood and nutrient-rich blood up to the brain. We can consider whether or not someone has good circulation. If their fingers and their toes are constantly cold, it's likely that they don't have very good circulation. If the tiniest vessels and capillaries in various parts of the body aren't getting good blood flow, then chances are that's not getting to the brain either. In fact, in an interesting observation, Kaiser, a health system in California, was looking over their data, and they found that men who regularly used Viagra had a lower incidence of Alzheimer's disease. Now, some people might not realize it, but Viagra initially was being developed for cardiovascular problems. It's to conquer blood flow-related issues. And when researchers noticed the fringe benefits of Viagra, they scrapped their plans to market it as a drug for cardiovascular problems, and they said, no, we'll market it to men who are dealing with impotence. Well, there's now a growing movement of doctors and researchers who are looking at using Viagra in both men and women to improve blood flow to the brain to reduce symptoms of things like Alzheimer's disease. So stay tuned for more research on that. There's actually a supplement that is in the same family as the active ingredient in Viagra. It's called vinpocetine. And it may be one of those things that could help a person get a little bit better blood flow up to the brain. If someone that we're serving is not exercising, that's a foundational thing. But when we understand it in light of blood flow and whether or not we're getting enough circulation to the brain and throughout the rest of the body, we can understand why it makes such a difference. Once we've dealt with circulation support, we need to consider nutrient support at a deeper level. I've done some episodes here on the Caregiver Minute about omega-3 and omega-6 fatty acids. The fact that omega-6 fatty acids allow us to have an inflammatory response, and omega-3 fatty acids help to calm that response. But most Americans have 10 to 20 times more omega-6 than omega-3, because those fatty acids are found in cooking oils, they're in all processed foods, they're shelf-stable. They're the kind of thing that we're exposed to a lot. And omega-3s come from fatty fish. They're not as prevalent in our diet, so most people don't have as many omega-3s. That means people are better at mounting an inflammatory response than shutting it off. And both functions are really important. So when we're considering nutrient support, one of the things that we can try for a period of time that's very safe is high-dose omega-3s for 1 to 2 weeks and see how the person responds. And by high dose, we're talking 10,000 milligrams of DHA and EPA combined. In a lot of high-quality fish oil supplements, that would be 3 pills 3 times a day. I've seen amazing things in doing that with some of our clients here at A Mind for All Seasons. It's a go-to strategy that we use when we're dealing with post-concussion syndrome in professional athletes or people of any age, even children that have had major concussive injuries. More advanced nutrient support also involves looking at things like B vitamins. And we've talked before about the fact that B vitamins are brain food. If someone has too little B12, they can become psychotic. If they don't have enough B9, they can be depressed, even suicidal. There's a lot to dig into in that area, but when someone has adequate nutrient support, their brain simply functions better. And to get to a deeper level in dealing with that, sometimes we have to do a little bit of blood work and figure out what's actually happening at that deep level. Another thing we can be aware of is that inflammation and oxidation are synonyms. So most people have heard of antioxidants, and most people have heard of inflammation. Most people have heard the term oxidative stress. But there's little understanding in the general public about how those things actually work together. When we say that you're having an inflammatory response, it means the immune system is revved up. And antioxidants are helpful in calming everything back down when it's time to do that. Sometimes giving people higher level antioxidants, things that actually cross the blood-brain barrier, like resveratrol or turmeric if it's in a form that can be absorbed a little bit better. That's very anti-inflammatory. And when we use that kind of level of support, we're doing a lot to calm oxidative stress in the body. One last area that we might want to look into if we're dealing with the science side of helping to reduce behavior is hormones. There are a lot of different hormones in our body, and together with neurotransmitters, hormones do a lot to affect our brain health and how we respond to the world. Testosterone and estradiol and progesterone and DHEA are all very neurologically active. They're not just important hormones involved in reproduction. In fact, more recent research has shown that certain regions of the brain actually synthesize hormones like testosterone and estradiol right in the brain. It's not just the ovaries and testes that produce it. That's mind-blowing to me, and it illustrates how important it is that we have sufficient hormones in our brains. One of the reasons that 2 out of 3 Alzheimer's patients are women is that the longer you live after menopause and the more depleted your sex hormones become, the less likely you are to have good brain functioning. So addressing some of those hormonal deficiencies can make a difference for many people. Progesterone, for example, is very calming. It binds to GABA receptors. And that's the same kind of functionality that some of the antipsychotic drugs that people are given to try to calm them down work with, but progesterone doesn't have the side effects of those antipsychotics. We've had real success with some of our clients at A Mind for All Seasons using progesterone to calm things down and to even help them sleep a lot better. So we shouldn't ignore the role of hormones. We should also be aware that there are many neurologically active hormones, like pregnenolone, that often don't get checked. And when those things aren't working very well, when pituitary gland signaling is all messed up, you get a lot of behavior challenges that are the outward manifestation that, hey, the signaling mechanisms that control our behavior and allow us to think and process and reason and respond, they just aren't working as well as they should. Well, I hope this look at how to reduce challenging behavior has at least given you some food for thought. I hope that now you'll do more to not only consider the art side of the equation and how do we interact effectively, but you consider the science side of it as well. That you look at acute medical problems that need to be ruled out or addressed. That you look at foundational things like diet and sleep and stress management and dental health and so forth. And that you look at higher level items like, does the person have good circulation? What are we doing to reduce oxidative stress? What are we doing to help them have optimal nutrient support? Now, some of you might be thinking, oh my gosh, Eric, this gets pretty complicated. Is there a way that I can get more help? And the answer is yes. We're always here to help you at A Mind for All Seasons. If you have questions about some of these things, or you want to troubleshoot issues with a particular person that you're serving, don't hesitate to reach out so that we can help talk you through those things and develop a deeper understanding of that person and what might be going on in their world. I hope this is helpful to you and the people you serve, and I look forward to seeing you again soon for another episode of the Caregiver Minute.